Oh my God, look who I have here.
I'm back. They let me back in the country.
I'm surprised you made it back.
I don't feel like I'm back yet. Man, jet lag is real.
How's it going,
top of the
everybody?
top of the morning to ye.
How we doing out there in YouTube? How was Ignition tonight? Let us know.
It was amazing.
What's up, Game Smashing? What's up, Yaden? What's up?
Boss man,
Oh, we do have a new RMP supporter. We have Carlos Clark.
Carlos.
Thank you
Thank you
for
for
the
supporting at
support.
the table, Carlos.
All right. Looks like that worked out pretty good. Never went live immediately after a show before. Worked out
Well,
pretty
we're right
good.
here. Yeah.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Dudes and Belts Reignited Post Show here on YouTube. I am your host, Johnny Deathdrop, and as you guys just saw just moments ago, we had an upset that just happened in the main event.
I don't know if I'd call it an upset, but
I don't know.
it was surprising.
The Ignition champion was pinned tonight.
Even Okada gets pinned occasionally.
I call it an upset. With me tonight, finally returning from the great country of Ireland.
Yes.
He is the one that lives way up there on the east coast of Maine, the inventor of the beacon of the week, the one and only Coastal Crusader.
What's going on, everybody? Yes, I'm back from the Emerald Isle. I will say this, if you ever have a chance to go to Ireland, go. It was amazing. It is great to be back, and it was great to see another amazing Ignition with a great main event. And we got to talk about Remy D and what happened. I want to speak about this.
Well, I'm sure we'll have a lot to talk about tonight as it pertains to not only Ignition, but everything going forward through the next couple charges into Milestone 13 that's coming up in just a couple weeks away.
I know, it's so close. It's normally so far away at this point, like a month, but it's so close.
It is very close. There will be no Marky Pins this evening. He had a lot of stuff that he had to do this evening, so he wasn't able to make
adulting, boo, real stuff, yay, wrestling.
But he will be back on Sunday for the Sergey interview, which, in case you guys didn't catch it later on tonight, we will be having our favorite Russian, Sergey, on with us this Sunday for a members.
This will be #1 interview, all of Dudes and Belts.
He will be on with us for our monthly membership-only stream, where only members of the Rocky Mountain Pro YouTube channel will be able to interact and chat with Sergey live with us. So make sure you tune in this Sunday, and make sure you are an RMP supporter. Make sure your membership's up to date.
Johnny, I feel like this is going to be a lot like that show Inside the Actor's Studio. We're going to ask some hard-hitting questions. We're going to find out a lot about Sergey.
And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't mind hitting that like button and making sure you leave a comment below the VOD, help us.
Thank you.
It will help us out with the algorithm over there on YouTube. Get the show out, as well as Rocky Mountain Pro content out to everybody else who is a wrestling fan who watches YouTube on a regular basis, which I'm sure a lot of people do. And, of course, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to the Rocky Mountain Pro YouTube channel and hit that notification button to make sure that you do not miss another Dudes and Belts live show or charge or Ignition to come.
If you miss us, everybody gets one, but don't do it twice. Make us sad.
Fair enough. You ready to talk about tonight's Ignition?
Absolutely.
All right, let's get right down to the nitty-gritty here. First up, tag team action, your favorite kind of match, right up your alley. Smoke and Mirrors with Mick Diamond and Cushman going up against Jason Noel and Panther, who has been teaming together for the past couple weeks and really have gained a lot of momentum ever since they've joined together.
They're clicking pretty well. I think it's kind of a, hey, I'm grumpy, you're grumpy, let's be grumpy together kind of thing. I don't know how technical of a tag team they are. I mean, they obviously both want to win. But tonight, I was impressed by Smoke and Mirrors. They got some new tunes to come out to. They're very much working together now. I was impressed that they are, while both undersized in this match, And let's face it, Cushman is going to be on the slower end of every foot race he ever runs, but that is not his strength. His strength is speed. And I'm going to tell you, his strength is his mat wrestling. He showed some good moves in there tonight. I was impressed with how he and Mick Diamond, how Smoke and Mirrors are working together. This new team of Panthro and Jason Knoll looked great as well. I think they're more of just fueled by hatred and rage. So it's easier for them. They don't have to be as technical as Smoke and Mirrors need to be. Jason Knoll tonight, he is one of those guys. I like to say he takes the Belichick route, Johnny. You're a Pats fan. I'm not. You take the rules and you bend them to the absolute limit until you kind of break them, but you get away with it. And he did that tonight on a couple of the breakups with the tag teams. You know, the new rules. I myself, it's kind of tag team wrestling. You shouldn't have a limit on how much, you want to help your teammate. But again, he takes those rules right to the limit. And tonight, it comes out with them, getting a win. I think tonight Smoke and Mirrors has a big chance to learn from this loss. And what I mean by that is they seemed a little unsure what to do when they had the upper hand. They gained an advantage, Johnny, real there near the end. They hit that big double elbow drop move, and then they didn't really seem to know what to do at that point. They wasted a little bit of time. I think that cost them tonight. But I was very impressed with both tag teams, and Smoke and Mirrors can learn a lot from this loss. But Jason Knoll, I think this is one of those things where he doesn't care who his tag team partner is. He is on a collision course with whoever wants to be with him to take on two guys we'll see later on tonight in your starting lineup.
Yeah, the thing with Smoke and Mirrors, and they just started teaming not too long ago, and it's going to take a while for them to really start to build that chemistry together. But you saw a couple glimpses of them actually getting stuff in and really kind of working together and actually creating a little bit of momentum for themselves as well throughout the course of the match. However, Jason Knoll and Pantho, I talked about it before we got into the match. These guys have been on a roll ever since these guys have officially teamed up. And quite frankly, they're starting to move their way up to the ranks in terms of possibly getting a number one contendership for those tag team titles down the road. I mean, they have been on a little bit of a roll. I wouldn't say that they are at the top right now of that division, but they're definitely working their way up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't say they're, in that number one contender spot yet. They still have a ways to go, but who says this stops when Jason Knoll gets his revenge, or if he does, against your starting lineup for what he feels he's wronged by them in any way? If they defeat them, then who knows? They could certainly be looking at La Isla, whoever has those tag titles at the particular time. La Isla is quite the island to overcome. But I think that if Jason Knoll and Panthro get on the same page here. I mean, let's face it, we give Panthro a lot of crap because he thinks he's a George Clooney of Puerto Rico, but that he can wrestle when he gets in there.
He definitely can. And as of right now, there still is no number one contender for those tag titles at Milestone 13. And there is a couple weeks left before that big event happens. So if they can keep on with this momentum and keep on winning matches, they got an outside shot at possibly being on the card for Milestone 13 and competing for those tag titles. Only time will tell.
I'll tell you what. This is just my opinion. I'm a tag guy, Johnny. It would break my heart not to see these tag titles defended at Milestone. I don't think Echo and Balaam Laisla would want that either. I think they're fighting champions. But I think if you're your starting lineup right now, you are that team that stands out in this division of tag teams, and you need to lobby to have tag matches to prove that. We see both guys tonight, and I know I'm getting off on a tangent here, but we see both guys tonight in singles matches. If there's no tag team stepping up and wanting and demanding that title shot, your starting lineup needs to step up and say, we want that shot. What do we need to do to get it?
And they're right up there too.
Yes. I think they are the front runners, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's really starting to become a little bit clustered up there near the top. I mean, you have your starting lineup who has been somewhat up and down, but that's mainly because of their focus on Jason Knoll. Now maybe that Jason Knoll's in this division now at Panthro, maybe at some point, hopefully before Milestone 13, they can end up having that face to face. We saw last week on Charge with Briscoe Crown taking on Jason Knoll. Was it Jason Knoll? I think it was Jason Knoll. Let me go back in my notes here real quick. I'm pretty sure it was.
Just while you're doing that, just like
It
I was
was
saying,
it was Jason Knoll.
yeah,
Yeah.
they need to. Your starting lineup needs to put their focus. They either need to beat them and say we are that premier tag team, or Jason Noel and Panthro need to beat your starting lineup and say, okay, now we want La Isla because we've just proven that we are the top two guys. Even though we may not be a full-on functioning tag team, they will be at that point. But they're in that running too.
I
But
mean,
some
we
team,
saw at Peak of the Pack too with Gino Rivera and Nathan Estrada. They kind of had a couple chances to be able
yeah,
to upset the tag team champions at Peak of the Pack. So they don't have
this
to be a
is
cohesive team like a Eurostyle lineup to get the job done.
you don't, but you need some team to stop putting their feet in the water and just jump in. Somebody needs to stand up and say, "We want our shot at La Isla." Need to stop figuring out, well, is it us? Is it us? Who's good? No, someone needs to stand up and take it.
All right. So I do believe, and by the way, because Marky's not here, we don't have an updated list of the point standings in front of us currently.
I'm not good at math.
So all these wins and losses will be given to Marky tomorrow, and we're going to update the point standings, and we'll actually give you guys an update on Sunday before we get into the Sergey interview on what's going on with the point standings, who has what. We all know that Curtis Cole has a number one contendership already locked in, but as we saw in the main event, there's another guy who's about a point away from being able to claim his chance at the Ignition Champion as well. So we'll get into all that later on, but Jason Nolan Panther do get the point in this match. Smoke and Mirrors, Cushman, and McDiamond.
By the way,
L.
if Mr. Fourth Row is in chat, I will take one of those I Hate Curtis Cole shirts. Please and thank you.
Yes, that is available for pre-order for $20.
Big. Big. Call whoever you need to get extra big because, yeah, I need one of those in my life.
All right, moving on. We got some Lockettes action. We have Lola the Adventurer versus Lilith Grimm. We've seen this many of times before on Ignition. However, this one is extremely important, especially for one Lilith Grimm if she wants to keep on building momentum into Milestone 13, because we all know what's going to happen then.
Absolutely. And you know what, Johnny? I'm going to surprise you here. And I actually agree with what Derek Stone said on commentary in this match. People need to stop overlooking Lola, because all Lola has done for the last 8 months or so is just win when she needs to. She's been a number one contender. She's won big match after big match. And you're absolutely right. This is a perfect test for Lilith going into that big match at Milestone with JC. Because let's face it, Lola's a good striker. JC's a great striker. Lola mimics a lot of what JC does in different ways. So it is a great workout for Lilith. And tonight she gets taken to the limit pretty much here for a lot of this match. Lola was not taking Lilith lightly, and that definitely showed. We see a huge drop kicks out of Lola, and we see her really live up to what she has been over the last 8 months, which is a very big key player in this Lockettes division. Now, I will tell you one thing. I don't know if the demon came out tonight, but at the end of this match, whenever Lilith slaps in that Lilithine, I will tell you, thick thighs take lives at this point. That you're done as soon as she hits that. It is over. Her focus is where it needs to be. She is holding the demon at bay or cooperating with the demon. I don't know which one of those is more scary, but Lilith Grimm right now with this win tonight is focused 100% on JC, and she is focused on not being the one locked in that coffin at Milestone, Johnny.
Yeah, and let's not forget, folks, that is going to be for the Lockettes Championship. So Lilith Grimm not only trying to get rid of the Asylum once and for all, but she's going to become a Lockettes champion for the first time if she's able to put JC in that coffin. And this is a huge, huge, huge night for Lilith Grimm going forward in the Milestone 13. And again,
there's a lot of demons,
win.
Johnny. There's a lot of demons she's going to bury when and if she wins this.
Yeah, I mean, it is an if, because you also got to remember the Asylum. I'm pretty sure JC is not going to be alone in this match for sure. And if I'm not
Mm-hmm.
mistaken, and somebody from RMP can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is going to be somewhat of a no DQ match or an anything goes match. So
You know that
you
that's
bet
my
your
thought. Yeah.
you bet your ass that Salem, Noel, and maybe an orderly or two will be out there at some point throughout the course of the night to make sure that JC retains and buries Lilith. But I have a hard time believing that Lilith isn't going to dig down deep to whatever she has left to be able to bury JC. I mean, we've been watching this story unfold all the way back in January. It's been that long.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Johnny. You said it works both ways. You said that it is a no DQ match. I firmly believe that most casket matches, coffin matches, they are no DQ. What I think here in wild card is we saw for a long time it was not good to be friends with Lilith Grimm because the Asylum would come after you and they would hurt you if you even tagged with her, thought of tagging with her, assisted her, helped plug her gear in. This works both ways now. So maybe there are people out there who will have Lilith's back if some horsecockery, to quote the great Bud Bloodflower, happens in this match, and maybe they could be the wild card. Somebody could. We've seen many people get hurt by this Asylum as well, so it's not only Lilith. So there's a whole lot that's going to happen in this match that could dictate the outcome.
Yeah, this feud has gotten extremely personal between the Asylum and Lilith, and I think we're all expecting a hell of an outcome come Milestone 13.
Mm-hmm.
The end of a saga, basically, because that's really what it was. I mean, for the past 6 to 8 months, it's really been that personal and that I guess you could say eye catching of a story going into Milestone 13. And again, this is Lilith's probably biggest night of her entire career coming up. And I don't think there's no sugarcoating that. I think that's exactly what Milestone 13 is going to be on June 1st.
It's the biggest match of Lilith's career.
All right. We have more action here. We have Brew going up against one half of your reigning tag team champions, Balaam Lynx, here in a one-on-one contest. Brew coming out on top in this match, this is one of two champions being pinned tonight.
Yeah, this was very, maybe this is the upset you were talking about. Because honestly, with the role that Lisa's been on lately, and just the wrestler, the caliber that Balaam Lynx is, I was thinking, does Brew have a shot? Yeah, but it's one of those, if they wrestle 10 times, no offense to Brew, I'm picking Balaam to come out 9 of those. And this is the 10th, though. As we say, anytime the two guys at this caliber step in the ring, again, I take nothing away from Brew, but we do understand for the last 8-9 months or so, he has had some medical issues. The cyst in his brain, it really has been hit or miss when he gets in the ring. He's had some big wins, the one against Damon Ace. This one here tonight is another big win. He's also had some losses where he gets hit a few times and the referees had to stop it. So I'm hoping this is a catalyst for Brew. This can be the big win, because it is, Johnny. This is a big win. One half of the tag team champions who have just been on an absolute roll. Former Colorado Cup winner, former Milestone main event person. And, Balaam is one of those guys you look at. He's a top tier guy in this. And Brew gets a big win tonight. So I'm hoping that what we saw tonight out of Brew and what we can continue to see moving forward are big wins and just a more stable in-ring body of work where we're not worrying and we're not even asking the question about is he healthy enough to be a top-tier guy. And tonight he absolutely looked like a top-tier guy.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about there being an open spot at Milestone 13 for those tag titles. There's also an open spot for that charge title that CBD now holds. And that is anybody's ball game right now. That could be anybody who's even slightly rolling going in Milestone 13. this win by Brew might have bumped him up a couple spots. I mean, nothing's been official yet. We don't know what's going on with the Charge Championship match coming up in
And it
Milestone
wasn't a
13.
bounty match.
It was
We
not
know
a
that.
bounty match,
Yeah.
but he did make up a point that he lost last week. So I do think he's at 3. I think I
Yep.
remember Brew being at 3 a couple weeks ago. So he's at 3 now. He might have been able to lock up some sort of either chance at that championship or really escalated himself to be in the conversation for that. I mean, these last 2 weeks are going to be huge. I mean, the adrenaline, the pressure that these guys are under, just trying to be able to find a way to get to Milestone 13 some way, shape, or form. These performances like what Brew had tonight is definitely giving him an opportunity to possibly be in the running for one of those spots. I mean, who doesn't want to be on at Milestone 13 on June 1st?
Everybody wants to be, and it's one of those things where, what have you done lately? That's going to be the thing. It's awful hard to remember all the way back to last milestone. Oh, well, this win, this ignition. No, the last 3-4 months are what people are going to remember. And this win tonight, as we see in the main event as well for Kendrick, these are big wins. They mean a lot in milestone season.
It really does. And I mean, I wouldn't call this an upset because these two have gone at it quite a bit over the years. And there has been some back and forth. Balaam winning a couple, then Brew winning a couple. And you can tell that there is some camaraderie there. Like there's a little respect between those two. I wouldn't really call it. A lot of respect. Yeah, I wouldn't really call it an upset here, but it's still a huge win for somebody like Brew to be able to pin one half of your reigning tag team champions, and quite frankly, one of the guys who has been on a roll in general. I mean, we're not just talking about RMP. I mean, Balaam's been wrestling everywhere, including AEW back in December. So, I mean,
yeah, that's what makes it an upset, Johnny. I know we're not taking anything away from Brew by saying it's an upset. This is not Barry Horowitz beating someone. This is Brew, very capable guy who I've said is a top tier guy in this company when he wants to be and when he is healthy, beating a guy who, yes, has been on one of the greatest roles we've seen over the last 8-9 months with Echo and has been on places like AEW, traveled outside of Colorado, been on main stage guy. That's what makes this such a big win and an eye-opening win for people who are watching Brew.
Definitely excited to see where he goes going forward because, I mean, ever since he got cleared, I know he's had some mishaps along the road, but it looks like he's definitely kind of settled in and really starting to make some noise, and he's right up there in the point standings for the Ignition Championship as well. So
absolutely.
So good for him. We're glad to see him being able to do this on a weekly basis and be able to keep on improving and actually get better as time goes on. So kudos to him. And kudos to Balaam for a great match against Brew. All right. Moving on. This is going to be another story that we're going to be talking about going into Milestone 13 and within the next couple of weeks to see how this unfolds. Well, we have one half of your starting lineup, Briscoe Crown going up against Caden Koyama.
Yeah, this was interesting because Caden, to me, Johnny, he looked like he didn't really care if Johnny was there. Like, Johnny just kind of was there like, hey, I'm with my brother, and he's not paying attention to me. Well, maybe. And you could tell, really, even throughout this whole match. I mean, this was a great back and forth match. And I'll tell you, as much crap as I give Caden, he is great in the ring. And he showed it tonight. He looked great. He goes up against Briscoe Crown, who we talk about being on hot streaks, being on a roll. It's a guy who won the Grand Prix, had a great match with Zamore for that Ignition Championship, was right there. And Caden tonight, yes, he gets an assist from his brother. Did he need it? That was a back and forth match. I would have gone 50-50. Did it help? Oh, absolutely helped. Did he want it? I don't know. I really don't. I think Caden is kind of like, hey, leave me alone at this point. We know they have the big 2 out of 3 falls match coming up. And it just seems to me right now that Johnny is trying a whole heck of a lot harder to keep this together than Caden. It almost seems to me like Caden is already in Caden Koyama solo mode. Johnny. I don't know about you.
Well, you heard on
He did,
commentary too
yeah.
later on tonight, and we'll get into that. We'll actually talk a little bit more about that because there is definitely a difference in demeanor when it
Yeah,
comes to both matches that happened tonight.
that's the whole thing, and when we get to that, it really reflects so much on what you see in this match from Caden.
Yeah, no, I mean Briscoe Crown, unfortunately, on the losing end, little help by Johnny Casanova. And like you said before, it seems like Johnny Casanova is the only one out of this duo that's really trying to keep JK Pop somewhat together, even knowing that there's a 2 out of 3 falls match coming up in Milestone 13.
This has such Brett and Owen vibes from the mid '90s going on right here.
Look at him going back
It
to some
really
brother
does.
rivals here.
You got Caden, who's more just even keeled, calm, kind of like whatever, okay, brother. And then you just have that fiery, feisty guy like Johnny. I mean, I'm very excited for this match coming up. I really am.
You're not excited that they're actually going to be going one-on-one and just beating the crap out of each other?
I mean, that's the cherry on top of this wonderful wrestling Sunday.
Actually, Wrestling Thursday this year.
That is true. I meant like ice cream sundae cherry, but
okay.
Yeah, technically, okay.
Yeah, so big win by Caden. He does get a point. Briscoe Crown loses a point here as well. Again, Caden Koyama, I mean, I think he's starting to work his way up in the point standings as well.
I mean, I know Briscoe was upset. You could hear it. Now, I would have been too, but Briscoe, like I said earlier, I think you need to get with Kendrick and really just, guys got to focus and step up to go for those tag titles.
Oh, I don't know. At this point, I mean, what we're watching with JK Pop right now, I mean, one guy's having success and the other one's just trying to fight to keep something together here. You look at YSL recently, Kendrick's 1 point away from hitting number 5 and getting that number 1 contendership for the Ignition Championship. So whether his mind's going to be solely focused on that number 1 contendership possibility, or whether he's able to transition and focus more on tag team when he needs to be. That's the thing about these young guys. They've only been doing it for so long. Do they have what it takes to be able to transition focus from one thing to another?
That's anybody, though. You look at the great tag teams ever. You look at them. I mean, let's face it, even the greatest tag teams of all time have not been immune to the somebody get singles success. The Rockers, we all know, Shawn Michaels becomes one of the greatest singles wrestlers of all time. Hart Foundation, Bret Hart. The Brainbusters, Arn Anderson. The Dudley Boys, you got Bubba Ray who turned into Bully Ray. Matt and Jeff Hardy. Jeff, you can arguably say, had the greater career in mainstream wrestling. Tag teams, it's the very few great, true tag teams that are immune to that. One guy gets that singles taste, and then how much longer are they a tag team? I'm hoping, because I really like your starting lineup, Johnny, that Kendrick doesn't get that taste. I mean, I hope he wins, but I hope he doesn't lose the bond he has with Briscoe in getting those tag team titles.
I mean, it's not showing right now. I'm just kind of being like the devil's advocate right now.
Oh, I know. You like to stir that pot and poke that bear.
Well, not even stirring the pot. I mean, again, we're watching what's going on with JK Pop, and now we're watching kind of a semi-similar thing with YSL when one guy's singles-wise is performing very well, while the other guy, now granted, Briscoe Crown has had one hell of a year too in his singles run, and Kendrick was behind him the entire way. I'm hoping that Briscoe shows the exact same thing with Kendrick now.
And I think he will. I think that's the difference right now. I think there's some jealousy in JK Pop, and I think there's more on the unity side on your starting lineup.
When you're used to winning all the time, and then you lose that one time, you get into a rut. I mean, we're starting to see it with guys like what we used to saw with Bruce Wayans when he had a couple months of that rough go of it. We're starting to see it with Remy D, and I think we're starting to see it in a different way too.
I was just gonna say that, Johnny. That's kind of what I wanted to talk about when we get there.
Oh, and we're gonna get there, and we're gonna really dig deep in this one because that moment was definitely
This
eye
showed a
catching.
lot beyond just a creative win for Damon and an interesting reaction for Remy.
Very. All right, we got to get back to the Lockettes. We got to talk
Mm-hmm.
about Adrian Mascara versus Noel.
Yeah, this was quite interesting. Adrian Mascara showed me a lot here. She really, really is blossoming, and I think she's
Quickly,
right on that. Yeah, she's
quickly.
right on that cusp of really breaking through. She's on that rise quickly. She needs a couple of those key wins, those signature victories. And then you have on the other side, you have Noelle, who's just really embraced the darkness, if you will, embraced the confidence Salem has given you. Salem is like a cocktail you drink that makes you feel 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and you can't be stopped. It's amazing just what that man can whisper in your ear, and it gets done. Noelle's confidence is through the roof, and it just echoes in her performance that she has in the ring. She is crisp. She's violent. She's controlled while at the same time is more aggressive than I have ever seen her in a ring before. And then you have on the other side this explosion in Adrian Mascara that is getting ready to happen. Kind of smoldering right now, and those flames are going to burst. And she's going to get a couple of those key victories. And Johnny, this Lockettes division now with JC as the champion. For how long? We'll see at Milestone. Lilith. Noelle is getting power. Adrian Mascara. Lola is no longer someone you look at as just looking over the top. This is quickly becoming the premier women's division in all of independent wrestling.
You're not even mentioning like Brittany Brooks or
Skylar
Slice
Slice,
or
yeah.
anybody like that.
I know, right?
I mean, kudos to Noelle for taking advantage of a situation and being able to think on her feet, given the wardrobe malfunction.
Mm-hmm.
And again, huge win for Noelle. I mean, she's been kind of having a rough go ever since she had that one-on-one with Lilith, but she's
A lot
starting
of
to really
people have rough goes after that.
but she's really starting to come to her own, and
Mm-hmm.
she's really starting to do very well in there. Do I like some of her tactics? No, but at the same time, you can't really argue what a win is. A win is a win in the books, no matter what.
It is.
Adrian, however, wow, she's only been doing this what a couple months now, being on TV.
She's shown me some that she's more than ready to be here on TV. And like I said, she's a couple of big wins from getting that confidence boost. That when, like I said, you step in and you just can't miss. You're hitting your moves, you're getting big wins, and you start rolling. And then all of a sudden, you're in the title picture, and that's when you're like, okay,
Yeah.
this is what you've worked for.
Yeah, no, she's definitely got potential to be a future Lockettes champion, and I'll quote that 100%. She's definitely got that potential.
Can't argue it.
All right. Casanova versus Echo.
Let's just look at Johnny Casanova's few months in a nutshell. He
Oh boy.
loses the tag team titles. He's fighting with Brother. He hasn't had a win in a while.
We haven't even talked about the law office when we've been talking about these two
Right.
lately.
Right. They're just kind of they're out of law office experience right now. They're there, but they're both trying to figure their stuff out. And like I said, tonight the music malfunctioned for Johnny. Like it worked great for Caden. I mean, it just seems like one of those things where, you know, how they say getting crapped on by a bird is lucky. Well, an entire flock right now would miss Johnny Casanova. He could walk through a bird coop and not get pooped on. That's how his luck's going. It's just,
Well,
it's bad.
what about the intro as well from Arius?
I know. Arius just Johnny Casanova. And then we get to hear Caden on commentary. And like I said, Caden is great on commentary. He and Stone, this was quite an interesting commentary, but let's listen to what he's talking about.
Stone
He's
was
really-
asking the questions.
Yeah, he was. And Caden wasn't pulling punches. He really wasn't. He was really focusing on Caden Koyama. And he wasn't, let's say he wasn't burying brother, but he certainly wasn't shining brother up anymore like he used to. He was kind of like, oh, don't do that, brother. Oh, come on. You heard him like, oh, come on, when, Johnny rolls out of the ring. He did cheer him on when Johnny got some momentum going. But, I mean, let's face it. Balaam was out there. He was out there helping out, not helping out, but cheering on, Echo and being there for support. And Hayden was doing commentary. And it even goes as far to show, even like in the outcome, like at the end of it, he didn't even go out. Like Hayden wasn't even there. Didn't even try and help. I don't know what's going on with JK Pop, Johnny. But I know one thing. There is going to be a different Johnny Casanova, I think, at Milestone. Because he's either going to snap or they're going to figure it out. Because Johnny is unstable right now.
So
he really is.
Let me put it to you like this. Derek Stone was asking those questions to Caden. And Caden's answers showed what happened tonight. You look at Caden's match between Briscoe Crown. Johnny was there, and Johnny assisted in getting him the win.
Even though Caden said he didn't want it.
Correct. You look at Casanova's match with Echo.
He could have used a hand.
Caden was not there. Said he, gave himself some props for getting the win, even though Casanova helped. Mind you, Casanova did not lose the match.
No.
Didn't win it either.
It's time limit draw. Yeah, but I think that did not winning or did not losing but not winning irritate Johnny more.
So I'm going to get to this. So
okay.
Derek Stone was trying to pry Caden to see who was the better brother. If you go based off what you saw tonight, and that was your only thing that you saw, I'm giving Johnny the props over Caden.
If anything, it's even, but I would lean towards Johnny because he went to a time limit draw
without any help whatsoever.
Without any help with one half of the tag champs. Again, we take nothing away from Briscoe.
No.
But again, not a tag champion, not on the role that Echo and Balaam have been on, and with some help from Johnny. So I agree with you on this one, Johnny D. Squared, I really do.
And maybe that answers a couple questions. Maybe it was a fluke again. We're basing this off of one night.
And the heavily leaning into how we interpreted Caden's commentary.
Yes, correct. We have 2 weeks, and we have the match coming up in Milestone 13 to really figure out who is the better brother. Besides all that, this is affecting the law office in a huge way, too. What is Preston's mind at right now? Is he even making an attempt to try and get to Dean to be able to fix this around, to just make it a tag team match and trying to get these two back together? Or
I don't think so.
Or is he going to try and reap the benefits of still being the lawyer for these two, but trying to benefit off of both at the same time?
I really think he is just trying to figure out what benefits him the most, and you see it tonight when you don't even see him around him. He's really, and I give him credit, he is playing this to the middle so he doesn't even look like he's picking sides because he doesn't want to burn any bridges. As much crap as we give him, he's very, very smart and manipulative because if they make up, he still has one of the greatest tag teams, if not the greatest tag team in Rocky Mountain Pro history to manage. And if he plays his cards right, if they do split up, he's got two really good singles guys to manage. And he'll get, as you know, as the little spoiled kids say when their parents separate, yay, 2 Christmases. Like, yeah.
I mean, we saw last week on Charge with them arguing at the law office, and it got to the point where Lola, now mind you, we don't see Lola getting mad at all. She was very feisty on Tuesday towards these two.
Yes.
and
You do
actually
not make Lola angry.
agreed for these brothers to fight it out because they've just been going back and forth at each other. Maybe this is the best way. Maybe this is the best case scenario for JK Pop to work out their differences and to get back on track as a tag team. We saw with Mercury and Curtis Cole a couple times during the course of our tenure here with Rocky Mountain Pro as the tag dudes. They fought each other a couple times. Okay? Maybe this is what they need to do to fix whatever issue they have.
Sometimes you just got to beat each other up.
That's what brothers do.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes brothers shake hands. Sometimes they hug. Sometimes they punch.
Anyways, we got to move on here because we get to talk about our guest that's coming up on Sunday. Sergey going up against the final boss, Bruce Waynes.
We saw some great stuff out of Sergey tonight. I'll give him that. Like, Sergey continues to impress me all the time. I can't wait to talk to him on Sunday to find out more about what I feel is going to be a great partnership between the Al Snow Wrestling Academy and the Sergey Pro Wrestling Academy. Because, you know, he trained Tenyu. We saw Tenru in chat tonight. You know, I'm glad to see he's still alive after what happened. But Sergey tonight looked great at times. We got to see second rope Sergey Superstar.
Yes.
As he hit the elbow after Bruce Wayne's missed it. But this is a different Bruce. Ever since Bruce has kind of gotten back up on the horse and has, I wouldn't say he's finished with the Atiba. As we know, we got that three-way dance coming up with Curtis Cole and Bruce and Atiba. But ever since he got that decisive win over Atiba, and kind of got back to the Bruce we saw pre-Shocktober when he was champ, it's really been different. 3 months ago, Bruce Waynes loses this match to Sergey. And that's not taking anything away from Sergey. You know, he's not, you know, that elite guy in this company, but Bruce was in that point 3 months ago. He'd have lost the match tonight. And this just shows how far he's come and how ready he is. And I really think that come Milestone, this is where Bruce needs to win this match to get back to where he was and complete this comeback. Because if he doesn't, then he's kind of in a holding pattern. He looked okay at times tonight, but he really, really needs to have his head on straight, Johnny. And I still don't know. He did struggle tonight at times with Sergey, and Atiba and Curtis Cole are far ahead of that.
I think Sergey brings out a comfort level in a lot of the guys that he faces, to be honest with you. Sergey is just one of those guys that there's no ill will whatsoever, and he likes everybody in the locker room, including guys like David Drake and Damon Ace. Why? I don't know. But he's just one of those guys that will give the shirt off of your back, given any situation, or whatever. But that's why I think a lot of people have a hard time beating him. It's just because of the guy that he is. You know what I mean? And Brucey's one of those guys that will play to the crowd and all that stuff. You got to remember, Sergey is a fan favorite as well. So seeing these two in the ring, there's a little layback here. These guys were joking around before the match even started and all that stuff. And again, comfort level. And a lot of these guys are getting too comfy with Sergey. And Sergey, I mean, again, we all know the muffin button thing that he has on his head.
You hit the muffin button and it's not good. He goes into blender mode and he will process you.
Yeah. And again, to Sergey's credit, again, he's definitely learning from the Al Snow Wrestling Academy. He's definitely getting a lot better, even without hitting the muffin button. If we're just talking about flat out Sergey here, he's actually doing a lot better without getting hit in the head. All things considered. But again, it doesn't matter who you're in there with, how tough they are, how weak they are. You get a win, you get a win. It means something, especially up here. And Bruce Waynes, even though he had a hard time with Sergey, look, a lot of people do. Look at Damon Ace not too long ago. He almost lost to Sergey. Sergey almost pinned him.
Johnny Casanova did lose to Sergey last week, didn't he? Or was that Caden? One of them did lose to Sergey.
Yes, Caden did.
Yes.
So he can sneak up on you. And credit to Bruce Wayne for staying focused enough to be able to get this win. Look, any win going into Milestone, especially when you have a big match coming up on that day, huge momentum, no matter who you're up against that night. However, there's a Curtis Cole effect that we have to kind of touch on a little bit here. As actually, you know, we'll wait till next week, because once we get closer to the Milestone, we'll really kind of pick this show apart. I believe the Sunday before Milestone is going to be our preview show, so we'll kind of set that aside for now. But there is a few factors that's going into this 3-way match that is very interesting, and we'll definitely touch on that in a couple weeks. But I also got to say, Curtis Cole, you were complaining about not having opportunities as of late, and that was part of your gripe here at Rocky Mountain Pro. You now have a number one contendership for the Ignition Championship, and now on the biggest show of the year for Rocky Mountain Pro, you're in a triple threat match to become another number one contender. I don't want to hear jack.
Yeah. Shut up.
Period. End of story. Now, no, that's off our chest.
Makes you feel better, right? Yeah.
We could talk about Remy D and Damon Ace here.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you definitely want to pick this apart, especially being away for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
and catching up on everything. You're definitely seeing something new that's kind of catching your eye right now.
This is... So anytime you get Remy and Damon in a match, you know you're going to get a top tier match, and this was no exception. This is one of those, you know, you're going to get one of those matches that when someone says, what's pro wrestling? Here, watch this. You just do. They're both top tier. This is Damon showing why we've called him for over a year now violently intelligent, because you take a look at Remy and what Remy has been through. Remy was on the highest of highs for almost a year, just soaring at the top. It was never, you know, who was going to beat Remy. It was if anyone could beat Remy. Then CBD comes along and kind of matches that charisma, that ability to use a voice to get in the head that no one had ever used on Remy before, and gets a win, and Remy loses that title. And since then, Johnny...
Well, no, doesn't get a win. Remy D cost himself the Charge Championship.
But it's just...
I understand he provoked it, but...
It's a win for him, right?
CBD, yes, unfortunately.
Yeah, he won the title. And since then, it's just been the mental degradation of what was one of those solid mental capacities in Rocky Mountain Pro. You didn't wonder if anyone could play mind games with Remy D, because it's just like, no, Remy's above that. Losing that title, I think, had a bigger effect on Remy than any of us could realize. Because after this match tonight, and what Damon did, Damon realized if this worked and he got this win, it did more mentally to hurt Remy than he could ever do physically. And that's always been what Damon does, is he hits you where it hurts the most. He is smart enough to figure out and how to manipulate you into making a loss hurt more mentally than it does physically. That's what he's doing with Yaden. He's trying to get in there and break the mental walls down, because then he can just do whatever he wants. When he induced this, I'll call it a la Eddie Guerrero disqualification, and he's laughing, Remy snaps. This was the breaking point. This was maybe rock bottom mentally for Remy, and just starts doing what Damon does and going off. And the aggression, I've never seen aggression like that from Remy. Very, very few times. Even when Madeline Grapefruits was doing all the stuff with the wardrobe and all that, never. This is different, Johnny. Something has broken inside Remy.
The question is whether or not Remy can find a way to kind of seal the wounds. Because, again,
Oh,
we just saw this with Bossy with the RMP title. We're actually seeing it with JK Pop right now with them not being the tag team championships. Now we're seeing it with Remy D in the charge title. There is a thing for being on top for so long, right? And Bossy had a good reign too, about 8 months.
yeah.
There is a thing about being on top for so long, and then once that day comes, because it inevitably comes one way or another. You're on your game most of the time. You have a bad day. It just so happens that it was for the title that day, and you lost it. There is a way of going into some sort. I don't know if it's like a depression or like don't even know how to describe it. Like your mood is just like you like it. Well, your body is like in shock still. And I feel like what's going on with Remy right now is he's still dealing with the fact that he does not walk out in the arena every show now with the charge title. It is now on somebody else's waist. And I think what's really screwing him up, and compared to the other people who I mentioned, like JK Pop and Bruce, Remy did this to himself.
Yeah.
He cost himself the charge championship, not CBD. CBD didn't do jack that night. Okay? It was all Remy D's fault. And I think
That's a good point.
And I think that's what's really eating him now.
I think you're right.
And I think, to be honest, I think that is the catalyst for this new change. And we saw it again tonight. Damon got into his head just by looking at him. Remy knew what Damon did. And Remy took it upon himself to go after Damon in the way that he did. We don't see this ever from Remy. I don't think I've ever seen Remy even come close to this mean.
Yeah, this was uncharacteristic.
Are we worried for Remy? A little bit. The question is, though, now that Milestone's getting closer, and he is not in the he's not in the charge championship picture, which means his Milestone chances are dwindling.
Mm-hmm.
Can Remy find a way to come out of this and bring back the old Remy that had the motivation and the desire to be able to get back on top of the mountain? Or is he going to slip down to, I hate to say it, the Damon Ace and David Drake way?
We'll have to see.
Because even though David Drake's a menace right now, he was a year ago part of our successful tag team with Owen Easton in Full Send. And he was not who he is now. He bled, purple and silver for the longest time when he first came into Rocky Mountain Pro.
Yeah, he had friends that he didn't kidnap, and we don't know where they are for months on end.
And now look at Drake now. Except opposite situation. He's winning gold and turning into this monster. The other guys are losing gold and turning into this. Now, granted, Bruce Wayne's was able to pull himself out of it. JK Pop's still fresh. We don't know what's going to happen there. This Remy D thing is still fresh. Again, can Remy D pull a Bossy? It might take a month or two. It might. It might be after Milestone. But can he pull himself out of this funk and get himself out of this mindset?
I think so, but we'll have to wait and see. On the other hand, you talk about these redemption arcs, if you will. Damon Ace lost the title, lost to Balaam, lost. Now has built himself back up, but hasn't overcome the Yaden thing yet. Does he do what Drake did and completely snap? Because as many bad things as Damon Ace has done, we still haven't seen him put anyone in a tarp and lug him off.
No, David Drake is like the epitome of like you lost your mind officially
Yeah,
and you will never get it back.
but he's arguably the most successful guy in the company. So what does that say?
Debatable.
Yeah,
That's definitely debatable.
he's
Because
got the big belt.
he might have the big belt, but when was the last time he actually pinned somebody to retain the belt? Just saying.
That's true. Yeah,
So it's debatable, that's for sure. He is the RMP champion, and you have to give him the respect of that. You have to.
absolutely.
But if you go by history, he hasn't really been able to finish the job. Or if he finishes the job, it's by evil ways and ways that don't abide by the rules.
Mm.
So, all right, main event time. We have a bounty here. Kendrick
Yeah.
LaRoe going up against your reigning Ignition champion, Zamore.
Yeah, this is a culmination for Kendrick Rowe of a year and a half of work. Big stage, main event match. He's had them in the past, but this is the one right here where, yes, it wasn't for the Ignition Championship, but it certainly was against the Ignition Champion. A guy that's been on a roll lately, a guy that beat Kendrick's tag team partner. Zamore has been, he might be the most successful guy in the last 6 months at RMP. He has come back since being away for an extended period and done nothing but win and shown us this is the Zamore we have wanted to see since I've started watching and what we have known has been inside. Kendrick tonight, this is the best match Kendrick has wrestled, and that is a repetitive statement for me every week, but I don't know if I can
It's
say
been
it.
like that for a while,
It is,
yeah.
but I don't know if I could say it after this because this was the complete toolbox. This was the growth of the XP bar, as Marky would say. This was him putting it all together and coming out with the biggest win of his career. He cashes in on the bounty. He is right there. He definitely. Here's the thing. I understand that you're not at 5, but you pinned the champ. That is a lot. That's something nobody else has done in a while.
Nope.
And I know in certain companies, and I'm not saying that, oh, just give him a shot. I'm saying in certain companies where if you pin a champ for its non-title, you get a shot. So, Dean, if you're listening, I'll jump on the bandwagon. I think if you pin a champion like Kendrick did tonight, maybe get him a shot. I know it's outside
Like
of
Brew
that
did
drive
too?
for 5. Yeah, I mean, but Brew did. See, that's a tag team. It's a little
It's still a
different
champion, though. It's
it
still a
is.
champion.
Well, hey, you know what? Brew, grab a partner. Um, hey, if I got to stick by one, I'll stick by him. But I'm just saying, this for Kendrick was a culmination of everything great that he has done. I am so happy to see that even when he went for the Superdome and it didn't work out, he didn't get flustered. He has his B, C, D, and E plans that we've talked about before. And just congratulations to Kendrick LaRoe on maybe the biggest win of his career. Definitely one of the biggest wins we've seen on Ignition in the last few months. And beating a guy that no one has seemed to figure out for a very long time in Zamore. And I will take nothing away from Zamore. You are a fighting champion. You just week after week after week, you're defending that belt. And maybe, luckily for you, this wasn't non-title, but maybe this was the sign to, hey, man, maybe I need to maybe I need to leave some of these non-title matches off so I can focus on defending this thing. Because tonight you almost got caught with your hand in the cookie jar.
I want to make a little bit of a statement here, and this is going out to anybody who is in the academy right now or, is a rookie this year, which I believe we have 2 as of right now with Adrian and Mick. These guys, YSL, were part of the rookie class last year. All right, and the year before that, Drake, Owen, and Lilith. Every single rookie class from the past couple years have done something or are currently on the path to doing something great for Rocky Mountain Pro. You saw it with
Before
Drake.
that was Damon Ace and Bane. But, it just if you follow the program, if you take what you learn at the Al Snow Wrestling Academy, if you apply the teachings from Yaden and the other coaches and these people, your career trajectory looks like this.
The system works.
Yes.
System 100% works. And let's just go down the list here, and we're gonna finish it off with tonight's match. Owen Easton, and we're gonna start when we started covering. Owen Easton, David Drake, Lilith Grimm, RMP champion. Owen Easton, former Twitch champion and tag champion. Lilith does not have a title. However, she's going to be in the biggest match of her career coming up in a couple of weeks.
And a premier
Milestone.
player in the Lockettes division.
100%. And we all saw what she's been doing outside of RMP. She's also another one of those people that was on AEW as well.
OVW
and as well, multiple
Glamour
times.
And all of these wrestling promotions.
You get into last year's class. We had... Now, correct me, because I'm probably going to be missing a couple. Noel, Briscoe Crown, Kendrick LaRoe. Did we only have 3 last year?
I think those were the only 3 last year, because this year you have McDiamond and Adrian Mascara. Yeah.
Briscoe right now, even though he lost tonight, and he's been a little bit up and down since getting over his injury from the ankle.
Don't wrestle him in March.
Don't wrestle him in March, first off.
Yeah.
Because he's never going to lose.
Right.
And he is going to be on the up and up to multiple championships, I think, before his career is all said and done. And he could also be going elsewhere, possibly getting signed. We have Noel, who... I'll admit, started off a little slow, but has gradually become one of the top Lockettes in the division as of right now. What? We're slowly getting to that point, especially with the new change in Noel.
With her, it was aggression,
yes.
Quicker, and she found it in bunches.
And then we have Kendrick LaRoe, who... And I said this, and I quoted myself at the beginning of the year last year that I thought he got in here too fast. And he made me eat my goddamn words over and over and over and over again. I'm man enough to say it.
The confidence that he has in there right now is unreal.
And then you saw what happened tonight, and I see John Corpus. I thought Kendrick got 3 bounty points on Samori to put him on 5. I don't have the point standings.
Marky has those. They don't trust me to math. And honestly, if you want to go with the guy that's the best with numbers in our whole group, that's Triple I, and that's scary.
Yeah. So I will be getting Marky the points tomorrow, and we're going to be, before we get into the Sergey interview on Sunday, we're going to announce the updated point standings before we get into that on Sunday. So stay tuned for that. He's either at 4 or 5. I know that. I thought Lucas said 4 on the show. Again, he also has been wrong a couple of times before. So we're just going to wait till Sunday to get the official word. But Marky's been keeping track on a weekly basis, and he's got everything up to date up until tonight. So we'll be able to give you guys an updated list on Sunday. But yeah, and then getting into Kendrick tonight, pinning the Ignition champion. And like John Corpus was saying, he's either a point away or he is at 5.
Right.
So, system works. It's proven. And the main event was just a showcase of that.
Yes.
You can't take anything away from Zamore. I mean, Zamore and the run that he's had up until this point has been incredible.
Like I said, take nothing away from him. He's the fighting champion, but is this a wake-up call to maybe I don't need to wrestle every single week?
You can't say that to Zamore, and
I know you can't. I know.
I talk to him off the side from time to time. He is one of those guys. He was like a Remy D. He's a fighting champion. He is a workhorse in there. And let me tell you.
But this is the reality of it.
But it wasn't a title match. It doesn't, it might hurt his ego a little bit.
Next time it might be, though, Johnny. Next time it might be.
Which is true, but maybe this taste of losing might help him in the next title defense that's coming up.
I'm a firm believer you learn more from losing than you ever do winning.
Correct, and I'm a firm believer of that as well. I've lived off of that. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about Zamora, even though this was a tough loss to a young guy in Kendrick. I see Zamora getting right back up and getting ready to defend his Ignition Championship very soon. It will be against Curtis Cole at some point because we're still waiting on that announcement. But I don't see this really setting him back too much. This is more of like an ego bump, I guess you could say. Bring him back a couple paces.
It's kind of the smelling salts. Like, oh, don't get complacent.
Best champions will lose once in a hole, but will come back. Even Brady and Kobe lose. Exactly. Not wrong there. Brady's lost a few Super Bowls to goddamn Giants. And he's still one of the greatest quarterbacks that ever played the game, if not the greatest NFL player that's ever played a game. So, losses happen. All right. That is going to conclude Ignition for us tonight. Final thoughts on this episode. Again, these Charge and Ignition episodes are going to get more intense as we inch our way closer to June 1st.
I mean, it's if Kendrick has 5, we now have Curtis Cole with 5, Kendrick with 5, a bunch of people with 3. It gets closer and tighter every week. Like you said, it's getting ready to explode, and we're going to see the cream rise to the top, as the Macho Man would say.
That TikTok is still in my head, by the way. They really, I see it every morning with that same guy too. It's extremely funny.
It is.
Speaking of Milestone, ladies and gentlemen, and we've been saying it the past couple times, Milestone 13, June 1st, 7 p.m. at the Wimmer Arena. If you're in the Denver area, doors open at 6:15. That would be the pre-show. Actually, no, I think the pre-show is earlier because I believe we have the Colorado Cup that's going to be the pre-show.
That's right, and also Ignition.
Ignition, yes. The Colorado Cup will be Ignition, so there's still going to be an Ignition that day because Milestone 13 is on a Thursday. So Ignition will be the first hour, which is the pre-show, which is the Colorado Cup, and then Milestone 13 will begin at 7 o'clock on the dot. If you're in the Denver area, it's the Wimmer Arena on 2170 Inglewood. It's in Inglewood. I don't know the exact address. Yale Ave.
2170 West Yale Avenue.
West Yale. In Inglewood, Colorado. And if you are not in the Denver area, make sure that you become a member, a Tier 2 member specifically here on YouTube. Because that's the only way you're going to watch Milestone 13 live on Thursday is with that Tier 2 membership of $9.99. Not only will you be getting Milestone 13, but you will be getting every pay-per-view that happens throughout the course of the year as long as you maintain your membership.
And also, just as an FYI, it is a lot easier to go to your desktop, laptop, your computer, go to the website of YouTube, and do your subscription through there. It is very hard to do through a cell phone, as Triple I found out.
Yes. And not only do you get the pay-per-views all year round with that Tier 2 membership, you will also get all the Tier 1 memberships, which is the loyalty badges, the emotes that you see from time to time of all the superstars that we have on there right now.
Do.
Yes, the interviews. Becoming a Tier 2 automatically gets you into those membership live interviews, which we are having this Sunday with the one and only Sergey. And that is going to start at 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 7 p.m. Mountain Daylight Time for all you guys in the mountain regions. This Sunday should be a good one. Only for members only to chat. It will be live to the public. The public will be able to see it. But the chat's going to be set up for only members to be able to interact and chat with Sergey. So keep that in mind as well. As far as the card, we're going to run through what we have official on the card real quick before we sign off, just to get you guys a little pumped up for a couple weeks from now. I have everything here. Let's actually start off with a triple threat match. It will be a number one contendership match between Atiba, Bruce Wayans, and Curtis Cole. That actually just went official this past Tuesday on Charge. We saw also on Tuesday the answer that we've been waiting for from Lilith Grimm, as she does accept the coffin match that was challenged by JC from the Asylum. We will have JC versus Lilith Grimm for the Lockets Championship in a coffin match. Ladies and gentlemen, we've all seen casket or coffin matches in our lifetime watching wrestling. This is sure to be no different. Also, we talked a little bit about this match throughout the course of tonight's Reignited. Johnny Casanova and Caden Koyama are set to do battle against one another in a 2 out of 3 falls match.
It's going to be awesome.
All right, we also, for Milestone 13, that is official, we have a Sin Bodhi, officially the number one contender, and will be challenging David Drake for the Rocky Mountain Pro Championship. I believe
it's like Freddie versus Jason.
Basically, yeah. So that should be an interesting one to watch. That's going to be your main event of the evening. And, of course, the rivalry that we have been watching ever since Shocktober. It's been that long, ladies and gentlemen, just as long as the whole Lilith and Asylum thing. We will have, once again, possibly for the last time, Mercury Yaden going up against Damon Ace for the NRW Championship. We don't know the stipulation of this match. We probably won't know until we get closer to the event, so make sure you stay tuned and watch all the shows leading up to Milestone 13, including this show here, because there have been times where the Dudes and Belts have brought out breaking news for certain contests and matches throughout the course of the build-up towards Milestone 13. So make sure you pay attention to all shows here on this channel. And, of course, we have the Colorado Cup, which is a yearly tradition for Rocky Mountain Pro. The winner of that match is guaranteed a number one contendership for the Rocky Mountain Pro Championship in the near future. It's typically at Shocktober, but, however, it's changed a couple times throughout the course of the years, so we're going to see what happens there. We're going to have another. I mean, we already have a couple number one contenders already.
Getting crowded up there.
It really is. So that's going to be happening for the ignition portion of Thursday. I believe that is all the matches that have been confirmed. We still do not have a match for the tag team championships yet. I'm sure that will come within the next couple weeks. And we also do not have a number one contender for the Charge Championship. Now, maybe a couple of these matches that we saw tonight might help a couple people get into that spot at Milestone 13. We won't know.
One might think.
We won't know until then, but a couple guys tonight has definitely proved that they are more than capable of stepping up to the CBD and being able to challenge for that Charge Championship at Milestone 13. So we're just going to have to wait and see. You got to keep watching all the programming here on Rocky Mountain Pro's YouTube channel. That is it for us. Again, you'll be seeing us Sunday with Sergey in our membership-only chat live stream. So make sure you become a member. You only have to be a supporter at $4.99 to be involved, but I highly recommend you get the second tier. That way, not only do you get all the Tier 1 perks, but you will get every pay-per-view throughout the course of the year. I believe that is it for us. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. We greatly appreciate you, as always. Also, it's great for you to join us again.
I'm so glad to be back. I wish I was still in Ireland, but I'm glad to be back with you guys.
So you'll be seeing him back on Tuesdays for Recharge with Lucas. And you'll be seeing Marky return on Sunday. He's typically here with us on Thursday, but he had some obligations he had to attend to. He will be here on Sunday and throughout the course of the remaining portion of May. as you all know, some of the dudes will be heading off to Milestone to attend the event. So if you're going to be in the Denver area, keep an eye out for some of the dudes as they will be making their presence there. And actually for the weekend too, during the whole bunch of shows that Rocky Mountain Pro is going to be having. So keep an eye out for a couple of us. And we'll get into dates and times for all the other stuff that's going on throughout the course of the weekend, because it's not just Milestone that's happening. That's just Thursday. Okay, we have charge tapings on Friday. We have a couple live events throughout the course of the weekend. That's going to be another busy weekend for Rocky Mountain Pro. So we'll keep you up to date as we get closer to the week of Milestone 13. But until then, folks, until Sunday, for myself, Johnny Deathdrop, and the Coastal Crusader here. Glad you're back, buddy. Welcome. We will see
Happy to
you.
be back.
We will see you guys on Sunday for another episode of the Dudes and Belts Wrestling Chatcast with Sergey. As always, folks, stay safe, stay classy. We'll see you on the next one. Take care, folks.